Hi, everybody. I'm Joseph Schles, and I'm a homosexual. Thank you so much. Please, thank you. Stop. That's enough. Not a hero, just a homo. I always mention this right off the bat, not because I think it's the most important thing about me or even necessarily the most interesting thing about me. It's just that this first story that I always like to tell doesn't make a lot of sense when people don't know that. Sometimes people get confused when I dive in without prefacing. So anyway, now you know. So the other day I was blowing this guy, and I really enjoyed it. I should have gotten his name. I didn't want to pry, felt personal. No, you might have been able to tell that I was gay before I even said anything. I don't know what might have given me away, but no, I don't really have the best self-perception. I never know how I'm coming across to people until they let me know, which they love to do. A while back, I was hanging out with a couple friends of mine, these two guys who are like, handsome, fit guys, who's straight, because I'm an ally. And we were hanging out with this new guy who we had just met. He was this kind of like big, hefty comedian guy. And he was talking about chicks, and then he was like going on about the apocalypse, which I guess is a natural progression. But the point he was making, he was like, right now, fit guys like you might be getting all the chicks, but after the apocalypse, fat guys like us are gonna be kings. And I was like, did a fat man join our conversation? Where did this jovial ninja come from? But then I realized he meant me, and I was like, when you said fat guys like us were gonna be getting all the chicks after the apocalypse, did you mean me? And he was like, well, yeah. And I was like, do you think I'm straight? Like, no, sir, not even after the apocalypse. But most people really are not too surprised to find out that I'm gay. Most people are kind of like, yeah, I saw that one coming when you said hello. Even my parents, when I came out to my parents, they weren't like, what? They were kind of like, okay, we can talk about this now. And my mom was great about it. My mom is this like brassy New York lady. And she was like, I always told you I'd rather you bring home a nice boy than a slutty girl. And frankly, at the rate your sister's going with all the assholes she's bringing home all the time, I wish she was a lesbian already. I was like, me too, Mom, me too. And then she was like, anyway, I always knew. And I was always like, I wonder what gave me away, you know what I mean? And I thought about it, and I think the answer is my obsession with the soundtrack to the 90s Disney movie Pocahontas. I loved that soundtrack. I used to play it on my Discman, just like on repeat, belting out my best Judy Kuhn notes. And I just think that there's only so many times that you can hear your 11-year-old son sing, "Should I marry Cocoam?" before you start to suspect, you know what I mean? Turns out she should have married Cocoam, guys. But like I was saying, most people are not too surprised to find out that I'm gay. People are, however, much more surprised to find out that I am very slutty. I'm a big ol' hoe. And this catches people off guard, and I understand why. I know it's not the vibe I put out. I know I have a very Paul Blart Mall Cop vibe. How dare you agree with me? But I know people aren't like looking at Paul Blart or maybe me and thinking, I bet that guy gets laid all the time. But I'll tell you, where there's a will, there's a way, my friends. Or in my case, where there's a Will or a Pedro or a Muhammad or a Brent, there's a way. But it can be difficult. It's a little challenging sometimes. Listen, when you're a plus-size model like me, or as I like to call myself, a role model, thank you so much. Thank you. That joke works better when I'm shirtless. It can be difficult. It's hard to maintain the level of sluttiness that I like to stay at, you know what I mean? And it's frustrating out there. Sometimes it's like, whose dick do I gotta suck around here just to get to suck somebody's dick, But I manage. And listen, I'm getting older. We're all always getting older. And as you age, life has a way of like constantly teaching you things you would have never expected to learn. Like if you would have told a teenage Joseph, hey, one day when you're living in Hollywood, he would have been like, Hollywood? Like, it's not that cool. But one day, you're gonna find yourself thinking to yourself, please God, please let me have syphilis. I would have never believed you. Never in a million years. But it turns out I came to learn the hard way that syphilis and herpes have unsettlingly similar symptoms, but only one of them is curable. And my friends, I'm happy to announce it was syphilis. Thank you so much. Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you. Even the doctor was like, okay, look, you have syphilis, but honestly, it's really nothing to worry about. Very easy to cure. It's just a shot in the ass. And I was like, that's so crazy, because that's how we got here in the first place. You know what I mean? Life really has a way of coming full circle. But luckily, I live in Los Angeles, and there's a ton of free clinics, which is great. And I think everybody should get tested. It's important to go and get tested, not only because knowing your status is important, but because every time I go to the clinic, the waiting room is full of the hottest people. Oh my God, did you guys know? I'm like, is this a casting call? But of course, all the hot people are there because there's the ones who are fucking, you know? And I always want to be like, hey, you want to compare results and see if we have to use a condom? No. That's silly, though. I mean, nobody there is using condoms. But it is scary out there, you know? It is scary. And there's a lot of things you can catch that are not as adorable as syphilis, you know what I mean? And it's like, I could never do it, but it almost makes me understand why somebody might just be like, oh, I'm just going to join the priesthood already, you know what I mean? Because little kids usually don't have STDs, and so it's a safer bet. No, you know what? You're right. You are right to be angry at that joke. I want to apologize immediately. I shouldn't have said that. I did no research for this joke, you guys. Maybe a lot of little kids do have STDs. I don't know the numbers.